All right, part two. Something else I want to talk about. Tip your driver. I'm not saying tip your driver, but tipping your driver. Um, a gratuity is a gratuity. It is not required, but it is greatly appreciated. Granted, there are some spoiled drivers out there who think small tips are nothing. Most of us are extremely appreciative of whatever you choose to give. I mean, I have carried people like general street calls, meaning not airport. General street calls who, they got in a car, they remarked about how clean it was, how good it smelled. I was respectful and nice to them. We carried on good conversation. I'm a safe driver, and, got them where they were going, and they have paid me and just almost embarrassed. They're like, all I have is, keep the 50 cents. That's all I can afford to tip. I'm sorry. I wish I could give more. Hey, stop that. I am extremely grateful for your 50 cents that I know you really couldn't afford to give, because every penny counts these days for all of us. So, tips are greatly appreciated. When you use our credit card machine, it does have options: 30%, 25%, 20%. And then, but you can also go down into other and set your own amount that you want to, if you don't want to pay a percentage. But you don't have to pay a gratuity. That is your gift to the driver. That's driver appreciation. And people, if the car looks good, smells good, so's the driver, and the conversation's great, and you got where you were going safely, man, tip your driver. Show some driver appreciation. Give them a high rating. Don't be scared. Go ahead and let them know, hey, you're awesome. This is a hard job. This is not a get rich job, and it will never be. It never was. It never will be. There's so much overhead and everything. Your driver is really only making like minimum wage once it's all said and done. Even here at the airport, good googly moogly. Things change, and my philosophy is you adapt or die. So, but yeah, tips are greatly appreciated. Don't think that they're not. Don't let a spoiled driver ruin it for you, as far as tipping other drivers. Drivers, talk to your customers. You get a feel for who wants to talk and who doesn't. If you ask a few questions and you get basically one syllable non-committal answers, then that person's really not chatty, and just let them ride. But you get some people in the car. I've gotten some really good tips just by talking to customers, because I've had people who travel for business and everything else, and they get in the car and they're like, you know what, I'm going to give you this big tip because you talk to me. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, other drivers, they just find out where you're going and they just drive. I don't see how they can do that. I want to talk to people who hold my money, cook my food, keep my kids, and drive me where the hell I need to go. Those are people, and cut my hair. Those are people that I want to talk to. I want to have a conversation, get to know them a little bit, because my personal opinion is that everybody should have a motor vehicle operations degree, a psych evaluation, and a drug test to get a driver's license, and you should have to renew that shit every year. But that's just my personal opinion. Not everybody's emotionally equipped to drive or deal with the public. I love to drive, and I love people. That's why I do this as long as I have. Otherwise, that when I got robbed 17 years ago, that would have been it for me. But that's another story altogether. I got lots and lots of stories. I have notebooks full of what I call journal worthy moments, because believe me, if it's something that happened that is a memorable moment, oh, it's going in the book. I write it down. I'll jot down general notes and go home and flesh it out when I get there. Yeah, I want to remember that and learn from it. But I've had some really good trips and some really good tips. The highest tip I ever got was $375. And that was a gentleman, and this trip just fell into my hands. I was a street driver for the first company that I worked with, and I had one of their dispatchers in my car, and I was taking her home, and she lived in Gastonia. Anyway, so she and we stopped at a gas station right here at Billy Graham in 85 near the airport, because she wanted to stop and get a pack of cigarettes. Okay. So I stopped, and I noticed that there was a Royal cab back when they were servicing the airport. This has been a long time ago. And he was stopped, back door open. There, I could see there was a Caucasian fellow in the back. The driver was of Middle Eastern descent, and a cop was on the scene. And the person in the back was just like, yak, 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 yak. The driver, he's flailing arms around. He's very upset and everything else. Next thing I know, the officer turned around to me. He said, "Can you take this passenger?" And I was like, well, I had her in the car, but I already knew what her fare was. And, it was on the company. So I was like, yeah, sure. Where's he going? He said, Rutherfordton. Huh? Okay. Now, at that time, rates were extremely low, and we had these flat rates from city to city. So from Charlotte to Rutherfordton was $125. Okay, so I got this guy, I got him in my car and everything, and he gave me his address, and I went ahead, and this is before we had GPSs and shit. So I had to get out the map and, and figure out where I'm going and everything. And so this fellow got in my car. He had cerebral palsy. So he had a speech impediment. He was coming back from the Mayo Clinic, and he was just trying to get home. Okay, so he had a speech impediment. His driver had a thick accent, so therefore he had a speech impediment also. So they couldn't understand each other, and frustration just blossomed into this whole big thing. Okay, so the dispatcher, she decided she'd ride with me. So Gail and I went off to Rutherfordton with this guy in the back seat. Now, when I got to his apartment complex, I woke him up and helped him get his bags in and everything. And he was extremely appreciative because he gave me $500 on a $125 trip. That was a good one. My second highest tip was $100. And that one I got Halloween of 2013. Years before at Goodwill, I had found a velvet hat that was like the Mad Hatter. And so, I put a little band around it. I had these jeweled hair chopsticks that I put in there, and a little piece of paper. And actually, it was a yellow cab card. And floofed out my hair and really did the makeup. And I had a black velvet ankle length skirt and jacket suit that I wore with a white frilly top underneath it. And so I went out, I went out Halloween night, and I'm taxiing around, and I picked up at an apartment complex over by UNCC. Now the guy's just going around the corner to the local Circle K. All right. He went inside, he bought a case of beer, a carton of cigarettes, and came back out. But before we left, he opened up the car door, and he was like, "Oh my God, your car smells so good. What is that?" I had bought some car freshener at a convenience store for people who burn trees, blunt block. But the kind was Romance for Women. Shit smells so good. Oh. So I had that sprayed all in the car. So that's what he's smelling, Romance for Women. And then I turned around and looked at him in the light. He goes, "Oh my God, you're that guy. You're that tea guy." I was like, "The Mad Hatter." Yeah, see, my passenger was from Saudi Arabia. He's like, "Oh my God," he said, "I love your makeup. That's so cool." I was like, "Well, it's Halloween. So I took him to the store. He got his cigarettes, he got his beer, and he came and he got back in the car, and we pulled back into his apartment complex, and he said he was going to pay with a credit card, which at that time I wasn't real thrilled. I'd much rather have cash. Cash is king. Cash rules everything around me. Cash pays bills right now. One doesn't have to wait once a week to get their pay when they pay in cash. So I was a little disheartened, but he's like, "You know what? I'm going to give you $100 tip." Now, in my mind, I'm like, "Yeah, right." So he ran his card, and the tablet system we had at that time, it would read out the amount. Card approved, $107.50. I turned around, I was like, "Get the fuck out of here. Are you serious?" And he's like, "Yeah, I told you I would." I was like, "I didn't believe you." I was like, "Oh my God, thank you so much." Man, that just made my damn day. That was awesome. That was really, really awesome. But I have found that when I get people in my car and I talk to them, and see, I've never met a stranger ever. I've met some really strange people, but I've never met a stranger. I talk to everybody that gets in my car. My philosophy is if you're not talking, you're plotting. Unless you're just a miserable son of a bitch, you don't want to talk. But not everybody's a morning person. Sometimes people have a whole lot on their mind and they really don't want to talk. And so I have to just zip it and ride. And then you get those uptight New York types who come and they will tell you where they're going, and they will not deign to speak to you again because they don't talk to the help. Okay, you're an ass. All right, we'll just drive. But most people love to hear my taxi stories, and that really does it for them. I mean, I've had repeat customers at the airport. Guy in a taxi line, I took him home. I'm telling him my stories. A couple of weeks later, there's a line up there, and I heard this guy, her. I want to ride with her. I don't want to ride with anybody but her. I want more stories. So, because customer's choice, they allowed him to get in my car and ride with me because as a customer, you have ultimate say. You know, the only female. Lots of women do that. They're like, nope, I want to ride with her because I'm the only female. But anyway, so this guy, he jumped line because he wanted to hear more stories, you know. Sometimes they'll, you know, you run the minimum $14 trip, you get $40 out of it because people just enjoy your personality. It's all about how you treat people. You know, some are not big tippers and some are, but, you know, everybody should be treated with kindness and respect, you know. Talk to the janitor with the same respect you would the CEO. See what happens. Be kind to everybody. It only takes a moment to be kind. And I'm going to tell you something else. People love to confess. Priests, bartenders, hairdressers, and cab drivers. People love to confess to you. They will tell you all kinds of things. Some things I wish I could unhear, but whatever. I used to call myself an unlicensed rolling psychotherapist. I read a lot of psychology books. If people are going to ask my opinion, by God, I'm going to give them the best, most well-informed opinion I can. If I could just take my own damn advice, I'd be all right. I'd be rich. Rich in spirit. Pocket wouldn't be too skimpy either, but rich in spirit. Anyway, if you can see me, you can hear me. You know that I love you. Y'all be careful on the road. Slow down, increase your following distance, anticipate the stupid. Remember, in heavy traffic, put that classical music on and just be. Sometimes it's good to listen to music that's not full of other people's emotions. Because you know when they put their words in, they're putting their emotions in it, and it kind of how you think. So, you know, do the classical thing. Chill the hell out. Relax and enjoy the ride. Thanks for listening, y'all. Have a good day. Bye.